Talking to myself again, but it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thought.
Good morning, welcome to NUFC Matters with me, Steve Wraith. It is Tuesday morning, and after his half-term sabbatical, he is back. Liam Kennedy from Newcastle World. How are you, mate?
Really good, mate. I hope you had a good one as well. Hope everyone else out there had a little bit.
Obviously, with my mum backwards and forwards to hospital quite a bit. The house was in complete disarray because we were getting some laminate flooring put down. And you had 3 kids and a dog to sort out because your lass had decided to go off on a jaunt to Gay Paris. So, Gay Paris, it's a phrase. Don't say that I'm homophobic. You know where I'm coming from. But yeah, listen, mate, half-term's half-term. And as you say, when you've got kids like we have, priorities have got to be the kids. But I hope you had a good week, mate.
We did really, really good. It was nice. It was nice to just take a step back from work, even though things, as I said in a tweet the other day, that got some negative, positive reaction, is that things are so positive in Newcastle United. There is nothing to twist and whinge about. Mm-hmm. It was good to see a lot of reactions to that tweet, to be honest. A lot of reactions of people saying, I'm not seeing a lot of negativity. And I'm pleased about that because there isn't anything to be negative about Newcastle United. It's a positive, really positive space at the moment. And being a Newcastle United fan, I haven't felt like this for a long, long time. Looking forward to every single game. Looking forward to every single statement that drops from the new owners. Every single press conference from the manager. There's nothing negative to talk about. And it's I can't remember the last time we've ever been in a position like this.
Yeah, I would agree, mate. And, I guess as well, I do tend to live in an echo chamber on Twitter. I block anyone who's negative or anybody who's negative towards me, and it suits me down to the ground. And, it's fantastic. It's a great time to be alive as a Newcastle fan, and it's an amazing turnaround, and things are only going to get better. So Positivity Cult, which Rachel set up in the chat, is alive and well on this channel, and no need to pick fault when there's no faults to pick. We're going to go straight into Twitter because we got hit with an avalanche of questions. So as always, we will try to be fair and do half and half. So Stuart Taylor said, hi, if we stick with Shelby and Bruno as a double pivot, do you think Wood will still be needed as a target man? Could we go the City way and play a false 9, Liam?
I don't think he's going to change the system. I think that's all getting a bit technical, but I don't think he's going to change the system for anybody. They've found a formula that works really, really well. They're really well organised. They've got 2 systems where they can switch to a 3 as they did when the Cells came into the team right at the end. They've got that in their locker, but I think the 4-3-3, if you want to call it that, is the way that Eddie Howe is wanting the team to play. They all know their roles, their positions, and I don't really see him adjusting anything to bring Bruno into the team, no matter how much he paid for him. I think we've seen a real flash of that 25 minutes to half an hour that he had. You were at the game as well, Steve. I was there. I kind of felt the Eriksen, it was just cruise control for Newcastle, and Eriksen came on, and it just gave, as you expected it to be, it gave everybody that lift within that stadium. They suddenly had a bit of hope and started to really get control of the game. He brought Bruno on, it just popped that bubble, just totally took the sting out of the game. The lad just constantly wanting the ball, taking it off everybody, making quick triangles, quick passes. He was amazing. I think the stats speak for themselves. I think he played more passes, had more touches than some Brentford players who were in for the 90 minutes. Most of them, I think it was the stat. My colleague at the Shields Gazette, Dom Skur, is good for the stats. He put that out there. That stat was quite amazing, to be honest. And I think it was a really good performance. And like I was getting back to that question, I just don't see him adjusting anything. I don't see the need to. Of course, it would look a lot better with players back in the team. if you had a Callum Wilson playing up front instead of Chris Wood, as Chris Wood was mentioned, then I think Newcastle United would probably be in a better place. But Chris Wood brings certain things to the team that Wilson doesn't, but lacks majorly in certain other areas that Wilson does have strengths. They're just two totally different players. And I think they both have their uses. But it's just a shame we haven't got Wilson in this team. There was one point in the second half, anybody who watched the game will know, is Bruno sort of dotting around in the pockets of space, picked the ball up and tried to thread Chris Wood through. And it was just the total wrong ball. He'll learn that, but it was totally the wrong ball, because for Callum Wilson, he would have been steaming through on goal with it. Wood hasn't got that turn of pace, struggled to get on the end of it and end up losing the ball. But yeah, I think, look, I'm not going to be too critical of anybody really. I seen people saying about they didn't like Murphy, don't like Kraft, don't like Chris Wood, whatever it may be. Ultimately, this team's playing as a team.
Yeah,
they're a team. And I think it's not individuals. That every single one of them giving something to that unit. Whether it's Wood taking the pressure off with the odd bit of hold up, a flick on, bringing others into play. Emil Kraft had a decent game, and I think offensively against West Ham he was decent as well. Defensively maybe not so, but you're not going to be able to change that. The lad does struggle defensively, gets himself in some dodgy positions, particularly when he's one-on-one with players. But look, you kind of fault him. I think Matt Targett is a revelation, an absolute revelation at left back. And look, Steve, we've had what twos and fro's about Matt Ritchie over the time, but it's easy to see now for me that you've now got a left back who can defend, and just having a proper left back who plays in his proper position.
He wasn't a left back though, Matt Ritchie.
He wasn't.
And now I'm more annoyed that the Newcastle away end have given Matt Ritchie's song away to Bruno.
They have, yeah. Well, I mean, I think when I'd like.
He's not even gone yet. He's not even cooled. He's not even cooled, and they've given his song away.
we need a few Newcastle United songwriters. I think let's get a few new chants on the go, because he's allowed
tunes on Twitter. Follow him. He's good.
He's allowed, he's proud, but we need a few more original tunes. That'd be nice to hear, because they're the best away following and best home following in the country without fail for me. But it'd be nice to have a couple of new tunes instead of recycling the old ones. But yeah, I mean, there's no criticism from the way they play from me. And I would, again, going back to the question, I'd be really, really surprised if Eddie Howe rips up the rule book just to shoehorn Bruno in. What I would say on Bruno, and again, this is the longest answer going, but what I would say on Bruno is
not like
what I would say on Bruno, I think he's going to get his chance. They've got Southampton. Is it the sequence Southampton, Chelsea, and Everton away in the space of 7-8 days. I think the team will be changed and adjusted during that time, and I think Bruno will probably start one of those games. Most likely the Chelsea game, and I think that'll probably be it. He'll probably end up staying in there because you can see his obvious quality. But I think they'll need the squad for those games. That's where it'll be tough. It'd be nice to see them get 3 points on the board against a struggling Brighton. Dan Burnless Brighton. I think they've lost 4 out of 5 since he came.
Will he miss Brighton? I mean, he's signed on now.
No, you're getting us wrong. I'm saying they've missed him. They've
missed him. Oh, sorry. Just I seen somebody putting it out there on Twitter the day and yesterday, and I thought, well, he's signed on. You can't stop a player playing for him. Right.
Yeah, he's a permanent signing. I'm just saying they'll miss him.
Yeah,
they have. They've lost 4 out of 5, I think, since we signed him. And look, it's one of those. I think the stat again. Got to go back to Dom Skur again. I drove in the car with him. He's an absolute stat man. And he came up with this one that there's only three teams in Premier League, in our Premier League history, that we haven't beaten the top flight. One of them was Brentford. We tick that one off. Another one is Brighton, and I might leave it out there for in the comments. Does anybody know what the third team is that Newcastle United haven't beat? Haven't played them in the Premier League. Haven't beaten them in the Premier League. That's the key thing.
Okay. Answers in the chat, and we'll get that up on the screen. Next question. Well, it's 2. One from Rich Joblin, one from Ian Hull. Question for you both. Should we stay up? Who would be your first signing in the summer? His would be Nunes from Benfica. And Ian Hull says, morning, Steve and Liam. My question is, if we had to go big on 3 players in the summer, if we stop up, which I'm a lot more confident about now, who would you choose and why? So a lot of people starting to look ahead to the summer already.
I would look to sign another centre half, of which I don't know. A lot of talk of Botman. Dan Burns a left-footed centre half, so I'd maybe look to sign a stronger right-footed centre half. But I'd definitely be looking at a central defender. I think a goalkeeper will be high up on the list, but if you're only going to sign 3, for me, a striker would be an absolute priority. Absolute priority. I'm not sure on names. I'm not going to start speculating. But in terms of midfielders, I would like to see maybe another wide player. But if we're going to go big on players, I mean, one player that I've beat the drum of on here, who I would go for, is somebody like a Calvin Phillips. I think he's, depending on Leeds' situation, I think he will probably become available in the summer. He's somebody who I would spend a lot of money trying to sign, depending on his fitness. But I think he's an incredible player. Can do 2 roles, can do the sitting, can do the box to box. Showed with England in the summer he can do the box to box. So I think he's almost a complete midfielder, and I'd like to see them go for somebody like that.
Jeff says Liverpool. I think we'll beat Liverpool in the Premier League. If I'm right, I think we'll beat them 2-0 at Anfield.
Yeah.
So it's not Liverpool. So keep going, folks. Put your suggestions in the chat. I'll read them out as and when I see them. Okay, next question is from Callum Wilson. Morning, Stephen, Liam. Any news on Dan Ashworth yet? Is ASM ready to play this weekend? And also, without too much disruption to the ground, what is the maximum attendance we can expand to? 3 questions. Well, I would imagine Dan Ashworth will be announced in a respectful way once we've played Brighton. That would be my suggestion. And I would imagine ASM will be ready to play this week if he's selected. And with regards to the ground, I would say the maximum we'll be able to get that ground to is around about the 62,500. What's your thoughts, Liam?
So, I mean, we're talking about the ground thing. I just don't think it's really an issue at the moment. I don't. I think it's going to be something. I know it was talked about, of course, in that really good interview done by George Clarkson at the weekend, but I just don't see how it's. I just don't see how it's a short-term thing. I think it'll be more longer term. I think there's a lot more priorities on the list between now and when you start doing that kind of thing. First of all, getting a team right, getting the infrastructure behind the scenes right, getting a squad absolutely going in the right direction, making sure the manager's got everything that he needs in terms of training ground and facilities. I think there's a lot of stuff that needs to go on before you even consider expanding the stadium. I think you can do bits. I think you can improve the stadium experience for fans, which I think will be reasonably high up on the priority list. But in terms of doing anything major with regards to redevelopment, I think that'll be at least a few years down the line.
Blackpool, people are saying Andrew Malloy, Cormac Poland.
Well, that didn't last very long, did it?
Was that right?
Yeah.
Wow, okay. Keith Longworth, you were wrong with Watford, but well done, Andrew Malloy and Cormac Poland. It was a pool, but it wasn't Liverpool, it was Blackpool. Yeah. Okay, next question is from James. If we stay up, do you see the owners thinking about selling Wilson because of his terrible injury record, regardless of how good he is when he's fit?
No, I don't actually. I think with his relationship with Eddie Howe, I think with his ability when he does play, I think Callum Wilson will be kept at the football club. Do I think they will try and upgrade in that position though? Yes, I think Callum Wilson may find himself as a striker seriously battling to get back in this team as of next season. But no, I don't imagine he'd be one of the players that you've got to build a squad. The whole idea about next season and January is you upgrade your squad. So a lot of the starters now might find themselves edged out, but they'll then become bench players and step-in players. That's how you build a squad. You've got to keep upgrading. You don't just shift loads of players out and loads of players in. You upgrade what you've got, and I think it'll be more of a steady process. I think they might sign another 5, say, in the summer. And again, they'll probably spend a reasonable amount of money. I'd actually be look, I'd love to be proved wrong, but I'd be surprised if they go and spend the same amount of money as what they did in the summer. I think they'll probably be a bit more, probably try and utilise the free market, etc., in certain ways as well, because a lot of players available with that. But yeah, I think Wilson's got a future, and I think he deserves a future as well, because It'd be nice going into games say, for example, you've got a brand new starting striker. Imagine having somebody imagine having Chris Wood and Callum Wilson both on the bench instead of a Dwight Gale or a young kid or somebody you're not sure about. Imagine having those two options. That, look, if we need to go and bang it into the box or we need somebody to start holding it up, there's Chris Wood for 20 minutes. We need goals. We need an injection of movement. We need somebody to go and get about centre halves and cause problems. There's Callum Wilson for half an hour. I mean, it's good options to have. I don't imagine it'll be one of the first names he'll be wanting to get rid of.
Yeah. Okay. Andy Cooper says, "Hi guys, what do you think that so many pundits seem to think we are just lucky and will lose the next game? For example, Paul Merson, Gabby Oblongaho, Mark Lawrence, and name three. Are they all just bitter?" He says about the new wealth of the club.
How Paul Merson's kept a job in football punditry for so long is just crackers. I mean, I could do with his agent, like, incredible. And Agbonlahor, honestly, some of the people TalkSport give jobs to, it's just incredible. He's not even he's not even, his arguments and the way he puts things across isn't really intelligent. There's nothing coherent about a lot of the things that he says. He's really not a good pundit, and you can quite clearly see the reason why he's on TalkSport is because he likes poking at things, doesn't he? He likes sort of saying, "Oh, I'll dig at them," and it's just a unintelligible Simon Jordan effect, really, isn't it? It's the same sort of idea that TalkSport seem to go to. TalkSport's got some absolutely brilliant people doing their jobs. I mean, Laura Woods was sat in front of us for one of the home games recently, maybe Aston Villa. Intelligent, talks the game really well. There's people like, look, and he divides opinion. Jim White, really good at what he does. Has made a fantastic career out of what he does. There's presenters galore on there who are excellent, but then it's just let down by the idea when you just throw in like people like Gabby Agbonlahor. I mean, what are they thinking? There must be 100 people in football who've got the same career that he's had, who could do a better job of punditry and do their research and actually care and take an interest in what you're talking about, rather than just spouting sort of your preconceived ideas or spouting your prejudices out loud on radio, which is essentially what Gabby Agbonlahor does, because it's quite clear to see that whether he does it for effect or means it, and the amount he goes at Newcastle United, you think he might mean it, is that he's obviously got a bit of an issue with Geordie's, Newcastle, whatever it may be, and maybe looks down on him a little bit, which is quite incredible.
Yeah, it's something which needs to be addressed. I think it's starting to get beyond a joke. Andy Dobson says, additions in the window obviously help, but massive credit to Eddie Howe. He's created competition for places by loyalty to the players in possession of the shirt. Examples, Willock, Kraft, fantastic man management, competition for places, something we haven't had for years. I definitely agree with you there, Andy. And Stuart says, what would you both prefer? Instant success with no investment in the training facilities, etc., or steady progress on and off the pitch? My answer is the latter.
What was that? Sorry, Steve, I just got a message there. Say it again.
What would you both prefer? Instant success with no investment in training facilities, etc., or steady progress on and off the pitch? My answer is the latter, says Stuart.
I don't think they have to be mutually exclusive. I think you can have success now and still build. So I don't know. If I had to choose between one and the other, it's nice. It is a nice feeling to know that the football club is being built. Those foundations are being put in place, and will continue to be. And there's a nice feeling about that, I'll be honest. But would I take, for example, if we were still in the League Cup recently, would I take a League Cup win or an FA Cup win instantly? Yeah, of course I would as well. It's a really tough decision to make, but it does make me feel really positive about the future, that the building blocks are being put in, that maybe even if these owners decide this isn't for them or decide to go elsewhere, which is absolutely no sign that's going to be the case, and people move on, that the club has been built properly and it's there to stand beyond this ownership model. There is a positivity about that. If you put a training ground in place, it's still probably, and you make it world-class level, it's still going to stand the test of time, and in 15 years' time, it'll still be great. It'll need upgrading again. These things always move and develop, But there's a long term thinking about about that, and I think it's really positive. So yeah, go on then. I would probably say the building blocks. I like the building blocks. It does make us feel positive about the future. But I also think the building blocks, it's knowing that the ambition is there as well. That there is a real hunger and ambition about this new ownership model, who want success. And it isn't about success in 10 years' time. They want success a lot sooner. And I've seen some people throw an odd barb, some criticism towards the owners, and critical thinking is absolutely fine. With regards to the again, I'll mention that interview that they did at the weekend. But how nice is it to hear some people at the top of the football club talk about Newcastle United in a positive manner, talk about Newcastle United as something that can grow, something they're really part of, something they want to be on a journey with. Such a contrast to what we heard before. And you'll not hear me criticising anybody for shooting for the stars, which is what they seem to be doing a little bit. And I get why, look, some things you maybe would advise don't quite say that, but I'd rather they were doing this and being positive, and their actions so far have spoken louder than their words. But I don't mind seeing that. Kevin Keegan did it, and I said this at the very start in the first interview that Amanda did, was I've not heard anybody speak about this football club since Kevin Keegan. And long may it continue. I'm along for the ride, and I think a lot of Newcastle United fans are too. And I'll back them all the way. Of course, critical thinking comes into it. If they make mistakes, it's okay to say, look, they maybe's got that wrong. And I think they kind of admitted themselves that they maybe did get the managerial thing slightly wrong. I mean, Unai Emery was obviously their first choice reading that quote, which is what we were led to believe at the time. It didn't work out, and they've got Eddie Howe. And I think Howe's impact, and I'm going off on a tangent here, Steve, but I want to make this clear as well, because I think no manager, and I've said this on here, and I've said this at other times, that no manager is immune from criticism. And it was a struggle at times up until mid-January, but since then you can see what he's been trying to do. And there was a lot of critics who talked about Eddie Howe when he came in and said, can he, and rightly so, to be honest, because rightly so, defensively, can he organise a defensive team? I would argue in the Premier League, in terms of Premier League performance, that Bournemouth team that we played in lockdown, well, I think we went down there and beat them 4. And Howe was the manager. It was before they got relegated. It was probably one of the worst defensive teams I've ever seen in the Premier League. It was awful. We tore them to bits that day. And there was obvious questions about, can Eddie Howe do that? It's quite clear now he's taken his time out of the game and assessed his weaknesses and improved in certain areas. And he's got the balance perfectly right. He's got this team believing. He's got them understanding their roles. Joe Willock in particular, Joe Linton in particular. These players know what they have to do. They've got clear instruction, clear direction that's worked on all week. And I think Howe can take a massive credit for that. I put a tweet out yesterday saying that critics will talk a lot about, look, there's always going to be critics. I think that's one thing everyone needs to realise. There's always going to be critics. People talk about the idea that Newcastle United will buy themselves out of trouble. Oh, look what they did. They just went and bought themselves out of trouble. There's a big argument to be made. A couple of the main catalysts for this recent upturn in fortunes has been the likes of Joe Willock, Fabian Schär, Joe Linton. These players who were already at Newcastle United, they weren't elsewhere. They're players that Eddie Howe has managed to squeeze an extra bit of improvement out of. Joe Willock, I've mentioned it on here before, looked like a lost boy at the start of the season. Didn't really look like he could question whether. It almost looked like he looked like a lad who maybe thought, have I made a mistake in doing this? Have I come here and have I made a mistake? Have I let emotions get the better of us and do it and sort of leave the club where he wanted to stay really, and come here and things didn't work out. He's now under a proper coach and it's all working properly. Ryan Fraser's another one. Ryan Fraser, a player who was already here at Newcastle United, and only now, when he was fully fit, part of a proper organised system, has a clear role and is delivering it, are we now seeing what Ryan Fraser can do? What Ryan Fraser was at Bournemouth for a number of years and has been for Scotland for quite some time as well. A good player. He's a good player. And I've said that all along, that we didn't see the best of him. We maybe are now. I would argue that the last 2 games have easily been his best 2 games in a black and white shirt, playing on the right and the left. And he's probably, from being in a position in maybe December, January, And this goes for Joe Linton. Last year, maybe it's January, February, last year, a year ago, Joe Linton, who could have been looking at the exit door, Ryan Fraser, again, could have been looking at the exit door this summer, almost feels like he's cemented his place in this squad moving forward because of his commitment in not going away from Scotland, getting his head down here, and delivering consistently now on the pitch. It is really good to see. And this all comes back to the manager. The manager has done a really good job at getting the best out of what he already had. Yes, you can't hide away from the fact that having a proper left back who can defend and's got a good delivery at left back, playing week in, week out, helps you. Getting a centre half in who wins everything in the air because he's 6'7", is reasonably good on the floor and composed and calm, also helps you, and is actually bringing the best out of Fabian Schär next to him. It helps. Bring Kieran Trippier in 4 games, of course, so it was in the end, but 4 games in the Premier League. Probably won Newcastle United 6 points largely with his attitude and application and quality in the final third with his 2 goals. But beyond that, it's been a lot more about, for me, about Eddie Howe getting out the best out of what he already had at Newcastle United, more than what they've injected with the money that was spent.
I would agree 100%, mate. Yeah, it definitely has. It's been some amazing turnaround, but that has to come from, being coached properly and the manager. And of course, as we know, our former manager is consistent as well, consistently poor. Just look at West Brom and where they are now in terms of when Steve Bruce took over. But yeah, interesting. Exactly, yeah. Shane says, all right, lads, are you chaps surprised how far and wide Newcastle United fans are? I'm here in Australia, and the support down here is really surprising. Regular attendances at pubs at 2 a.m. with fellow Newcastle fans is irregular. I'm not surprised at all, Shane, and it's only going to get bigger, Liam, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's really good, Shane. It's good to hear you supporting the lads from so far away. Be good to come in the comments and stuff and just see whereabouts you are and how your origins of being a Newcastle United fan, where that all came from. But no, it's really positive. And like you said, Steve, I think it's only going to grow. There was a real growth in Newcastle United's fan base during the mid-90s. And that stays. It's not the type of thing you can change, is it? You pick a team, even if you're not from the area, and you find an affinity and a love for a team. You can't just switch it on and off. And I think there'll be a lot of people as Newcastle United rise up the ladder, which they are going to rise up the ladder. And I made this prediction in the car on the way back, riding on the wave of positivity with Jordan Cronin, my Newcastle United writer at Newcastle World, and Dom Skur when I was driving back from the Shields Gazette. I was driving back on Saturday, that I think we will see Kieran Trippier with a captain's armband at Newcastle United leading the team out at St James's Park with a Champions League anthem playing. I'm sure of it. That's not me saying, by the way. I think it's going to happen like within a season, within 2 seasons, but I'm pretty certain that we'll see the way that this club's going. I think we'll see something like that within the next 4 to 5 years.
It's funny, me and you must be a bit of telepathy there. My prediction was that this time next year, Kieran Trippier will be walking up the steps to Wembley to pick up the League Cup.
Was it? Well, we'll hope we're both right, eh?
Yeah, 100%. Listen, there's nothing wrong with getting carried away. It's about time. We've got 14 years of all of this, excitement and hope, to get out there and, let's be positive. The positivity cult is alive and well on NUFC Matters. Okay, we're halfway through the show. I'm going to do the adverts live today, not because people are laughing every time the adverts come on because I've got a beard, but we have got a new sponsor who has joined us, who I will give a shout out to, and I haven't had time to record it yet. So big shout out to Spider VPN for all your internet security. They are the guys to trust. Google Spider VPN, they come up at the top of your internet search and help you massively protect your computers with any bugs or stuff like that. But get on Spider VPN today. Big shout out as well to skipsandbins.com, telephone 0800 25 45 25 3, email inquiries at skipsandbins.com, website www.skipsandbins.com, easy contract, free and pay as you go waste collection. Thanks also to L&G Family Funeral Directors, 01913897245, and to the Garden of Healing Dispensary, CBD, hemp and cannabinoid specialists, www.thegohd.com. Thanks to Arcot Interiors as well. You can find them on Heaton Road, and you can also Google Arcot Interiors. They come up at the top of the Google search list as well. And thanks to qtechshop.co.uk, the makers of pool tables and snooker tables in Wallsend, Newcastle, and the guys, of course, who run our website, NUFCmatters.com. Big shout out as well to Jab Signature, jabsignature.co.uk. And our new sponsor is this, Cleekai. Meet the new Game Over screen. Drop into a Clee Run device near you. Available on Apple Store, Google Play, and cleerun.game. And that is Cleekai there. Nice little character, that, isn't it? Happy and smiley. Must be a Newcastle fan. If you are a first-time visitor to the channel, then please subscribe. It is important. It helps us, and we're up to 47.9 today, which is great. We only need 100 more subscribers to reach the magic 48,000 mark. But you can click the like button as well, which does us a world of good underneath the video. It just likes today's video and helps build the algorithm. Click share to share to your social media. Drop into the comments box to speak to like-minded Newcastle fans. And if you see underneath, YouTube are improving all the time, you can actually clip something off one of our videos now. So you can clip it and you can share it to your YouTube channel. So if there's something Liam says, something I say, clip it, share it, and that will help us build up our channel as well. We're also available as a podcast on iTunes and Spotify and other podcast providers. Usually goes up 24 hours after the show finishes. And if you want to become a cult member, I should say a positivity cult member, maybe it's Rachel, then put your phone over this and you can become a cult member. We do a monthly draw and we give away match tickets last month, which were gratefully received. You can also get a pen, a cup, a membership card, and a Newcastle NUFC Matters black and white scarf for £25. It's a one-off fee, and that is run by qtechshop.co.uk. We do live events as well. Dog and Parrot, I shall be there with Supermac on Saturday, 1 o'clock, pre-match, and then round about the 5:45 mark post-match to speak to Superback about the game ahead and look back on the game that was played. So get yourself into Dog and Parrot. It is kids-friendly, and food, drink, and a pool table we have in there, and TV screens in there with the football on. We also support the food bank, NUFC fans, foodbank.co.uk. You can virtually give money to the food bank using the matchday bucket at that link. We support the food bank on this show on a regular basis. And we also have a special T-shirt in time for the Everton game. He's only got little arms. NUFCmatter.com T-shirt. We're raising money for the food bank. Go to NUFCmatters.com and you can help donate some money to the food bank that way. A couple of events that we've got coming up. Well, we are going to do another NUFC Matters Live, and it is from the Marlborough Social Club in Newcastle. And it is me, Supermac, Gibbo, and Holly. And that's Saturday, the 9th of April. Newcastle's game now, of course, moved to Friday the 8th at midday. Tickets are a tenner, and it's newcastlelegends.com for your tickets for that. The summer event, the end of season party, is a little bit later, of course, June the 17th. You can get tickets for that on Voucher and on Groupon, round about the £7.50 mark. All proceeds from that event are going to the food bank. Don't forget as well, my world record fire walk attempt is on the 14th of May. And you can join my team by entering the code NUFCM at checkout at the website wrfirewalk.co.uk. And the big Shearer event, 260dinner.co.uk is where you can get tickets. And we can announce today that Liam Kennedy will be the man interviewing Alan Shearer. Liam, you're smiling.
Can't wait. Honestly, can't wait. No, it's going to be brilliant. My absolute hero growing up. Hero for many. Just honoured to have been given the opportunity to speak to him in front of what will be a packed crowd at St James's Park. Big moment for me, and can't say thanks enough for being given the opportunity, Steve. It's incredible.
Yeah, it'll be great, mate. I'm sure you'll do well, and looking forward to the night myself. Tickets are going very well for that, and Obviously it's a corporate do, it's a black tie do. We've done 4 events over recent years. Newcastle Legends have done 4 events with Alan Shearer. Pie and Peas. We've done them at 9 Bar. We've done them in Hartlepool. We did them in South Shields. We've done them at the Fed in Gateshead a couple of times. Looking back, done 5 events. With prices for all pockets, basically. This is the first time we've done a big corporate event since the 206 dinner, which again was £206 a ticket. What you get for your money on this event is very special, and it is a special event, and it's to pay a tribute to one of the best striker in the Premier League and one of the best strikers in the world. So there will be other occasions, I'm sure, that we do events with Alan, but this is a bit of history. Come along, be with Alan and celebrate a wonderful career. It's at St James's Park. The feel-good factor's back. And if you've got a little bit of money lying around, get yourself along and come to that event. It's going to be a great do. So please, 260dinner.co.uk, get yourself onto the website. Do not miss out. You'll kick yourself if you do. Tom Dixon then, we'll go into the chat now. He says, what's your thoughts on Chris Wood so far? I know he hasn't scored for us yet, but I'm confident he'll start scoring goals soon. I think he's been a massive, massive difference. He made as big an impact for me as Kieran Trippier and Dan Burn and Matt Targett. He's been a major point, and you nailed it before, Liam. We are playing like a team, and it's collectively the team that has got us these results, not an individual.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. It is a collective, and Chris Wood's been a big part of that. I mean, I would argue if you're going to pick out his performances, it was maybe his lowest key performance, I would say, at the weekend. He had a couple of chances himself. He hasn't had many chances to score, but he had one in particular, one header where he thinks he probably could have done a little bit better with, but he's putting a graft in. He never stops running. He's always an option. I'm not going to criticise a lad who's putting his absolute all into this team, and he's come in and he's doing a job that Newcastle needed done. They needed a focal point in this team, and they've got one now in Chris Wood. So you look, and I think if he keeps grafting the way he's grafting, I think that goal will come. Particularly with Ryan Fraser. Ryan Fraser, who hits the byline regularly, particularly on the left or the right, and gets crosses into the box. That's exactly what a striker of Chris Wood needs. Probably benefited a bit from having Murphy and Fraser, who both are players who can hit the byline with certain different degrees of success, of course, at times. But I think he's probably benefited from that in some ways, and I would be surprised if that goal, when that goal comes, he'll get 2 or 3 or 4 between now and the end of the season. I'm confident he will.
Yeah, me too. I think there's a goal in him for the weekend. I think he'll get the goal against Brighton. So
I've been saying it every game. He'll score the day. You just get that feeling. I think once he does, I think that'll take a big weight off his shoulders. And I think we'll see a few more goals from him. Look, you don't score the amount of goals he's scored in the Premier League if you can't score goals. So I think you will. You'll get one, and it'll start the ball rolling for him.
There's Ditchy. Hope you're doing well, mate. Looking forward to seeing you when I'm down in Liverpool for the Everton game. He goes, Everton's going to burst the Newcastle bubble, mate. I apologise in advance. I hope it doesn't affect our friendship, Steve. Search Liam Ditchy on YouTube. He's got a great channel on there, and he needs a few subscribers. So, looking forward to seeing you, pal, when we get down to Everton. I don't think you're going to beat us, though, mate. I think it'll be a draw down there. We love you, Everton. We do. Looking forward to Newcastle getting taught a football lesson. Classic. Get the Scouts Mackems down.
Of those three games, I think that's the one I look at and say that I think Newcastle will get something out of. I think the other two are really tough, particularly Southampton. I think going out to Southampton is always hard for Newcastle United, so going down there and getting a result will be really tough.
Yeah, Jim says, I love all the signings we made in January. The one who stands out for me is Trippier, brilliant both on and off the pitch. Well, I was sitting quite close to him at the weekend, and I've got to be honest, he was living and breathing that game, and constantly on his phone, from what I could see, checking the scores and checking the league table. So, listen, he's been a hell of a signing, and I think he will play a major part in attracting new players. I think there'll be players in and around the England setup, in and around Champions League teams who speak to Kieran Trippier, who connect to Kieran Trippier, and they will ring him and other players at the club. and say what's it like, and he will wax lyrical about it. He loves it. And Matt Target, I don't know who asked the question, because obviously the chat's gone wild again as it normally does. Matt Target, do you think we'll sign him, Liam?
I think it'd be daft not to, the way he's playing, to be honest. I don't necessarily think there's a deal in place already, but I think if things go the way they're going, I think there's a deal there to be done. And realistically, even if it costs you probably slightly more than he's worth, and he's worth a lot in Newcastle United. If he's already in the team, he's already playing well, he's already doing a good job, then I think really you probably just have to pay what Aston Villa want to sign him, because you're going to end up trolling the European market for a left back who's going to cost you 30 million anyway. So you may as well go out and sign somebody like Matt Target, who knows the team, has already had a really positive impact. So I'd imagine if he continues in this vein, it'll probably be the first bit of business that he do in the summer.
Yeah, it's got to be. He's fitted right in. We managed to catch up with him after the game as well. As we came out of the ground, the players were jumping on the bus, and lovely guy. Had time for everybody, as did Jacob Murphy, Dubravka, etc. It was just nice to see the players mingling with some of the fans after the game. Obviously, first time that they've been down to Brentford, and it was a bit more easy access than it probably is at most Premier League grounds. So that was good. What's your thoughts on bringing Mitrovic back? Says Greek Mafia Club. Big upgrade on Wood, on fire this season. Great target, man. Greek Mafia Club. I've got to be honest, mate. I genuinely couldn't think that would happen. And he's a great Championship player. I don't think he's a great Premier League player. I'd love to hear people's cases and listen to what people say about him. But I watched him at Newcastle, and he again wasn't, maybe the team weren't playing to his strengths, etc. But I watched him miss many chances, and he was too volatile. He got, in a few red cards as well. So I don't know what you think, Liam, but I wouldn't be championing getting him back. Newcastle should be chasing a lot bigger and better strikers than him.
I'd argue that I don't think Mitrovic is an upgrade on Wilson and Wood. Personally, I don't think he is. Not in the Premier League. He's placed himself as probably one of the greatest second division strikers that has ever been, because of his form this season, and fair play to him. But I just don't. I would say it's a massive backward step should Newcastle United go and sign somebody like that. And I don't really see that that's the type of level of striker that really upgrades that position. Even if you can make a case for Mitrovic to say, look, I think he's slightly better than him or slightly better than him, it's not the level of upgrade in that area that's going to take Newcastle United from there to there. So I don't really see the point in going and splashing 35, 40, 50 million on somebody who we got rid of a few years ago. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, no, and a lot of people in the chat are agreeing with us. Don't think that's a good idea. Paul Oxley says, Liam, how much do you think Matt Target will cost in the summer? He says, I think Villa will probably want at least 15 to 20 million. I'd sign him tomorrow. He's a huge upgrade on our defence.
I would argue it's, and this is going to be a bit broad, but I'd argue it's somewhere, and I don't know the facts, but it's probably somewhere between 15 to 25 million, I would say, considering if he does really well at Newcastle United, and I don't know how long he's actually got left on his contract, but it might be one of those, if he's got a lot of years left, I don't know the fact on that one, but if he's got a lot of years left, you might have to pay a little bit more than you'd imagine. But the argument to make is you'd probably have to go and troll in Europe or the Premier League for a player to sign for 25 million anyway. So you just bring a player in who's already in the squad, already knows what he's doing, is already part of the setup. So I think it's a no-brainer. You've just got to go and sign him and pay what they want. Yeah,
Lee reckons Mitrovic will go to Inter Milan or Lyon and score 30. Different leagues. Yeah, I would agree. He's not a Premier League striker, though. Jeff says no to Mitro. Good with back to goal, but all-round game is not up to it. Roger says he sits in between Championship and Premier. Not good enough. Tom again says, Liam, the players who Newcastle missed out on in January, do you think they'll go back in for them in the summer? Like Botman, Diego Carlos and Ekitike. There's a guy at the gym that I go to is on Botman watch, I must admit. And it's been mixed reports. Sometimes he says he's having a great game. Other times he's saying, I'm not sure why Newcastle are that interested in him. But, is it likely that we're going to go back in for the likes of them?
Left-footed centre-half, so there aren't a load of them around, and Botman's one of the best, particularly in his age group. So I think there is going to be interest there, and particularly looking at what Amanda said, he still wants to come. So I would be surprised if they weren't interested in someone like Botman in the summer. And I think the other players on that list, It's hard to say. It just depends on what kind of noises that they've had and what kind of positions. I think one thing that was key in January was that Eddie Howe had a big say on transfers and who was coming to the team. And one thing I've been thinking about in the last few days is the original idea was maybe to have somebody dealing with that kind of thing and Howe not doing so much of it. But given the players that he brought in, the impact that they've had on the team and how easily they've fitted into the system and the way that they want to work, there could be a little bit of a rethink on that one. There could be a thought that look, maybe the manager does need to have much more of a say moving forward. And I do think he was always going to have a say, but when you think of Target and Byrne in particular, who've just been fantastic the way they fitted into this side, relatively quickly as well, just gone straight in and had a big impact. That I think Howe might well end up having a big say again in the summer.
Yeah, and I think that's the right way to do it, isn't it? That is the right way to do it. He's an integral part, and him and Jason Tyndall sit down with Steve Nixon and and the other scouts, and they form a plan, and they sit down with Amanda and Mirdad and Jamie and PIF get brought in. It's a chain of command, isn't it? And of course, don't forget, we're going to add Dan Ashworth to this, which really is going to take us to another level.
Yeah, and beyond that as well, there'll be a chief exec who'll take a little bit of the workload off the likes of Jamie and Amanda and Mirdad, and you'll start to get a proper hierarchy, like you said, and a proper chain of command. And I think that can only be good for the football club as a whole, really.
I've got to be honest, and this is just something I've thought of whilst we're on air, but I'd still like to think that we hear communication from Amanda and Mirdad, even if they do put a chief executive in place, Liam, because I think we've got used to that kind of, there's a familiarity. Do you know what I mean? It would still be nice to hear from the owners.
I imagine we still will. I mean, I think that line of communication is open now. I think we'll still, and I've said it before on here and in other places, don't get arsey with Mirdad on Twitter or Jamie on Twitter, because these are good things. You know what I mean? The fact that those lines of communication, we can see the jokey banter that we've seen at West Ham between the two of them and things like that out on a social platform for us all to see and enjoy is a good thing. Don't spoil it. And I think more widely, the communication thing, I think we'll see those lines of communication remain open, because I think they value it. I think they see it as a really important thing. They in their studies of the wrongs of the football club, one of the big realizations has been that the communication between ownership model and fans has been non-existent. So I think even with those extra layers below, and you will hear a lot more from a chief exec, I still think you'll get the odd message or two from the very top, and I think that's the way it should be. Yeah,
I agree. I think that's it's a good way of continuing. Stephen Nucken says Bruce is wanted for impersonating a football manager and for taking money by deception, allegedly, Stephen. But yeah, look, it's not our problem anymore, Stephen. We don't even need to be concerned about Steve Bruce. Thank the Lord. Is all I'm saying.
He's a very rich man for the jobs that he's done in football, and fair play to him. He's doing a job, and he's been appointed to do a certain job. If he doesn't do it, honestly, I wouldn't even concern yourselves with it. I wouldn't worry about it. No. You live and die by his own limitations, which we're probably seeing a little bit of now at West Brom.
Guy Brush says, we switched to a 4-2-3-1 when Bruno came on and we controlled the rest of the game much better. Hope we'll see more of that soon. Stephen says, Southampton game is an extra edge following comments about not being allowed to field players who were signed in January. Yeah, I mean, he's finally shut up about that, hasn't he? But he wasn't very happy, the Southampton manager.
He was getting edgy, wasn't he? Because they were near the bottom where they're picking up a few results. He seems to have shut up about that. I do hope he's asked about it.
Yeah, it's gonna have to happen, isn't it? There's gonna be somebody in the media is gonna ask him about it in the build up to the game. It will be very interesting to see what he says. Manchester Mag says, if you're looking at signing a goalkeeper, what would you think if you went for Raya from Brentford?
He was excellent. I thought he was one of the best players on the pitch at the weekend, and had it not been for him, I mean, some of them were solid saves with good strong hands. I know Arsenal were really keen on the player quite recently, so. He's a good option as a goalkeeper, and it would be one that I would seriously consider about looking. I've not seen enough of the lad to know whether he's the type of player that Howe would want to fit into the team, whether he's a good enough footballer, etc. But I think just looking at him at the weekend, he's somebody that definitely would come into the conversation if you choose to replace Martin Dubravka.
Yeah, I mean, I've said this for ages. about a goalkeeper. When the Taker went through that, you build from the back. And when you build from the back, you need a good, solid goalkeeper. Dubravka is good, don't get us wrong. But if we're going to be the team that we wanted to be, that is something that we're going to have to look at, I think. Okay, ASM, we'll talk a little bit about that. Forget about where he's been and why he's been there, Liam, and all the speculation that we've seen on social media about that. If he's fit at the weekend, is he somebody that you would put straight back in? Or do you think we will see for the third week running an unchanged team?
I've thought a lot about this and I'm still doing a lot of thinking about it, as you can tell. I'm not sure.
I wouldn't put him back in at the weekend. If everybody is fit from the team at the weekend, I will go unchanged again this week and I'd have him on the bench, ready to come on as an impact player. That's the way I would do it anyway.
I think I'd probably bring him back in, Steve. I think I probably would.
Okay, why?
Because I think in terms of levels, I think I would keep Fraser in, of course, but I think he's got a lot more to give to the team than Jacob Murphy probably. So I think realistically, if you want to win games, you play your strongest team, and I think Alan St-Maximin's in Newcastle's strongest team. But the reason why it's such a tough decision is because why do you change your winning team? Why would you change something that's working? And I think Murphy's brought certain qualities to the team that maybe St-Maximin doesn't. That he's a lot more disciplined, makes Newcastle more compact. Does a lot of defense, did a lot of covering actually on that right hand side, and made Kraft look a better player as well by covering him a lot and doing a lot of defensive work, which St-Maximin won't do. But I think at home you want to go and win a game, and I'll probably bring St-Maximin in. Either side, whether you keep Fraser where he was or whether you put St-Maximin back in, I'm not sure. But do I think I've got a feeling Howe might stick with what he's got. I think you might, if St-Maximin's fit, which we kind of expect he will be. I think I've got a feeling he might stick with what you said and stick with the team and put St-Maximin on the bench. But me personally, I probably would play St-Maximin simply because of his goals, his assists, his danger, causes problems for other teams. And does things in a forward area that Jacob Murphy just isn't capable of. That's no slight on Murphy, because I think Murphy does things in the defensive third that Alan St-Maximin is not capable of as well.
Yeah, okay. Unchanged, says Lee. You can catch him on Wednesday night at 7:00 on the News of the World show. ASM, I would leave up to Howe to do what he thinks. That's why he is the manager, says Don. Tom says, Liam, is there anything on the Brighton Academy manager, John Morling? We've been linked with him.
It's not one I've heard. It's not one I've heard. Doesn't mean it's not true. I don't know. It's not one I've heard though.
Always play your best players, Steve, says Mr. Pele. Murphy's not a match winner, unlike Maxi. Roger says Fraser was man of the match by far. Don't change his position. Yep. And Guybrush says if ASM isn't fit, keep it how it is. Keep it how we ended the game. Bruno gets his start with John Joe, Willock and Joey and Murphy or Miggy ahead of them, which is solid. This will be interesting. Okay, so Newcastle at home against Brighton at the weekend, Liam. It's a 3:00 kickoff. And Newcastle, as I say, we will wait to see what the team news is towards the back end of the week. But how do you see that one going? Will we keep the unbeaten run going?
I think we will. And I think we'll break that duck. I think we'll beat Brighton in the Premier League. But I think it'll be a really tight one. I don't think it's going to be a lot of goals. I could easily see a ones each, but I think for me, I think Newcastle United might scrape this either 1-0 or 2-1. I think they'll do enough on home turf to beat Brighton. They're tough to score against Newcastle. And I thought I was down at Brighton, as many other people who are watching this would have been too. And I thought Newcastle United shaded that game and probably should have come out on top. The way they dominated in the second period, and particularly towards the end, there was, of course, the Callum Wilson chopped down by the goalkeeper, which would have got with the 3 points when Eddie Howe was sitting next door to Al Walid in the director's box at the Amex Stadium. So yeah, I think Newcastle United will shade it, and I'm maybe going to say I think they'll shade it. I think they'll win 1-0. I think it'll be a 1-0. It'll be a tight game, but it'll be a good atmosphere, a good Premier League encounter. But I think Brighton's woes continue, and I think Newcastle United rise will continue also.
Good stuff. Liam, where can people find your work?
NewcastleWorld.com. Check out on Twitter. Give it a little search. Search for us on Facebook, on TikTok, on Instagram. We've got accounts on all of those things, or even just check the website out, NewcastleWorld.com, and just see what we do. We cover all things Newcastle United, cover all things Newcastle, city, culture, news, crime, anything, health, anything you can think of. So just check us out. We're the new kid on the block in terms of Newcastle websites, and things are going really positively. And I've got to say thank you to everybody out there who watches this show and also supports the content that we put out on that website, because we're only going from strength to strength month by month. Cheers.
Great stuff, mate, and look forward to catching up with you next week, and hopefully your predictions right. I'm back tomorrow with Geordie's here, Geordie's there, 6 o'clock start till 7 o'clock, and then News of the World, the current affairs show, which we do between 7 and 8 with Patricia and with Lee. Liam, catch you next week, mate. Take care.
See you, everyone.